Every single night, your brain, it builds entire worlds. Worlds that can be beautiful, sometimes terrifying, or, let's be honest, just completely and utterly weird. But if you ever really stop to ask yourself why do we spend almost a third of our lives in these strange, elaborate narratives? Well, that's the big mystery we're diving into today.
You know the feeling, right? You wake up, heart pounding, from a dream where you're flying on a giant slice of pizza, late for a test you haven't studied for, and your childhood dog is the professor? In the moment, it feels incredibly real, super emotional. But the second you're awake, you realize it makes absolutely zero sense. So what is going on? Where does all that bizarre stuff even come from? Okay, so get this. One of the first major scientific theories about dreams suggests that this nightly movie your brain is producing, it's really just its best attempt to make a story out of complete random chaos. It's a pretty wild idea, I know, and it's our first stop on this journey.
Before we can really get to the why, we first have to look at the how. I mean, what is physically happening inside your head that cooks up these experiences? Well, it turns out there's a kind of dream state generator deep inside your brain just running on autopilot while you sleep.
This brings us to something called the activation synthesis theory. And it's a mouthful, I know, but the idea is actually pretty simple. It's a purely biological explanation that basically says dreams aren't secret messages from your subconscious, no deep meanings. Instead, they might just be an accidental side effect of your brain doing its nightly cleanup.
So here's the play-by-play. When you're in REM sleep, a part of your brainstem called the pons just goes haywire. It starts firing off all these random electrical signals. Now your higher brain, the cortex, it catches this random static. And you know what? It's a natural-born storyteller, so it does what it does best. It tries to weave all that nonsense into some kind of plot. But here's the kicker. Your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for logic, is completely offline. It's snoozing. And that's why you can have a dream where your cat is giving you stock tips, and you just nod along like, yep, makes sense to me.
Okay, but hold on a second. That raises a massive question. Evolution is all about efficiency, right? It doesn't usually keep processes that use up a ton of energy, and REM sleep is very energy-intensive unless they give us some kind of real advantage. So if dreams are just meaningless noise, why would we still be doing it? Why wouldn't we have evolved past it? And that leads us to a totally different idea. What if dreaming isn't a bug, but a feature? What if it's actually an ancient, high-tech virtual reality simulator that was absolutely essential for our survival as a species? This is the heart of what's called the threat simulation theory from psychologist Antti Revonsuo. His idea is that for our ancestors whose lives were, full of danger, dreaming was the perfect, safe place to practice their fight-or-flight responses. It's like a nightly training session. And this idea of a dream simulator has evolved. On one hand, you have the threat simulation, practicing for physical dangers like being chased or falling off a cliff. But then there's the other side of the coin, social simulation. For a hypersocial species like us, navigating tricky relationships and office politics can be just as critical to our survival as running from a tiger. So our dreams might also be a nightly rehearsal for the messy, complicated social world we live in. So, which is it? Are dreams just random noise, or are they a sophisticated survival simulator? Well, the modern scientific view kind of says, why not both? And a whole lot more. Today, we think of dreaming as a vital part of your brain's nightly tune-up. I want you to think of it like this. Every night, a maintenance crew shows up in your brain. One part of the crew is basically a librarian, organizing all the files from your day. That's memory consolidation, deciding what information to keep and what to toss. Meanwhile, another part of the crew is a therapist, recalibrating your emotional thermostat. That's emotional regulation, processing the feelings of the day so you can wake up with a fresh start. So if you were to ask scientists today, what's the consensus? It really seems like dreaming is a multi-tool. It does a lot of things at once. A huge chunk of it seems dedicated to locking in memories and managing our emotions. But that old ancestral threat simulation, yep, that's still in the mix. And it's all built on that foundation of the brain's random nightly activity. But here's where it gets really, really interesting. I mean, this is where science starts to feel like science fiction. We're moving beyond just asking why we dream. We're now actually building the tools to look inside the dreaming brain, and in some cases, even influence what's going on in there. And no, I'm not kidding, this is real. It's called neurodecoding. Researchers can hook someone up to a brain scanner, and by analyzing their brain patterns while they're asleep, they can predict with pretty stunning accuracy what that person is dreaming about. We're talking faces, objects, even specific emotions. It's incredible. And we're even taking it a step further, from just decoding dreams to actually engineering them. Using a technique called targeted memory reactivation, scientists can basically guide what you dream about. Here's how it works. While you're awake, they create a link between, say, a specific sound and a memory. Then, while you're deep in REM sleep, they quietly play that same sound back to you. And what happens? That sound cue triggers the memory, and boom, it gets woven right into your dream.
All right, let's bring it all home. We've gone on quite a journey here, from thinking of dreams as just meaningless brain static to seeing them as these amazing, sophisticated tools for survival, for learning, and for our mental health. And now we're standing right on the edge of a new era, where that wall between our waking world and our dream world is starting to look a little less solid.
And this really leaves us with a fascinating, almost overwhelming final thought. As this technology gets better and better, we might one day be able to choose our dreams. Imagine dreaming about something to help you learn a new language, or overcome a phobia, or just to have a mind-blowing adventure. So the question is no longer just, why do we dream, but maybe, what should we dream about?